Today is Sunday, May 19th, and it's time for your farm garden tour. It is a beautiful day here. We're in the 70s for temperature. Gentle breeze now. Is a little more brisk earlier in the day today, but the field is greening up beautifully. We see deer every afternoon and evening out there grazing on the nice green clover and such. And let's get back to the garden. So tomatoes, I knew when we put these in the ground, there were some of them that looked really tough. We have lost a few, but there are some very hardy souls that are hanging in there. It'll probably take, I guesstimated it would be another week or so until we'd really start to see them take off and show some decent growth. These guys over here are a little bit bigger, a little more robust, but again, I did not do enough due diligence in hardening them off. So they're all a little shocked with the amount of sun that they've been getting and just their exposure to the outdoors. I also noticed that some of the more exotic types that I planted this year did worse. This is called Red Fury. That's another thing I learned. That your standard Sharpie is not good enough, cannot stand up to the sun. But the Red Fury, we had a couple in here and they all died. So it'll be interesting to see also, in addition to, how they do in this current format, if we can identify some that just don't transplant as well as others. These guys look okay. Again, they're all pretty taxed. I came out here yesterday and was feeling a little deflated because, I don't know, I feel like we've got a lot to live up to for how the garden did last year. But I also have to remind myself that last year we fretted over how everything was going to do when we planted it as well. So this is the way it goes. Not every plant, not every seed is going to do what we want it to do. So that's that. I don't think we're going to be hurting for tomatoes though. We'll have enough. Along this panel over here, we planted hybrid gherkin cucumbers. So I'm hoping that we can get a decent yield on these when they start to come up and make some pickles of different varieties. Look at those beans. These appear to all be beans. We'll get into the peas here in a minute. But yeah, they're up a couple inches, so they're looking good. These were Kentucky Blue.
Kentucky Wonderful. They're the pole variety.
Yeah, it's the pole bean variety of the Kentucky Blue. There is my birdhouse gourd. He didn't look great. We got our fingers crossed for him though. Here we continued on with cucumbers. These are actually cucamelons. These are those little guys that look like little tiny watermelons. They make a great snack, so we put those in again. And here we have Summer Dance cucumbers. There's nothing to look at except a hole in the tarp. There's the tag for Summer Dance. And then we have Green Light cucumbers, and we have English long cucumbers here. These are all English varieties, so they should have small, very small seeds, almost unnoticeable seeds, and they should grow in length. Nice long ones that you spend way too much at the grocery store to buy. And then usually leave them in the refrigerator until they're mush, right? Yes. That's how it works in our house. I buy them because they sound really good, and then before I get them out and eat them, they've gone bad. My bad.
But for fresh grown ones, we don't seem to have that issue, right?
No, fresh grown, it's like, don't waste them. So these are peas, and they're doing great. We've got some that are up close to 3 inches. So they're looking good.
Mosquitoes are out hungry.
Yes, the mosquitoes are out and they are hungry. So we got some really good looking peas this year. And I've looked at the weather. It should hold. There's nothing below 40 degrees in the next week or two. So knock on wood, I think we're gonna be okay. Here is what we spent a good part of the day mapping out, planning out, and then planting. So Troy, do you want to describe what's where?
Put me on the spot. This first 28 plants, so 14 on either side, are the...
Purple Majesty.
No,
No?
those are the new ones.
Oh. Okay, well, he'll be right back. The long dashed lines in between are bush beans, and I decided to get cute, and I took the bush beans and I mixed them all up. So there's going to be Royal Burgundy and Maxabelle. It's like a French onion, so it should be really skinny. Or French green bean. Should be really skinny. Okay, so
So it's the Maca Ozette.
Maca Ozette. They look like little turds, kind of. I've got a still picture. I'll show you what they look like before they went in. And then after the Maca Ozette,
we have 2 zinnias, one on either side.
Yep, we just plugged in some flowers to remind us that this is the break.
And then we did 14 purple Majesties. Leftover seeds from leftover potatoes from last year that we didn't get in for our new potato crop. So we just decided plug them in. We'll do these ones long term, see if we get a better yield out of them.
Yeah. And then after that,
in between each of our different types of potatoes, we're putting zinnias, just so that we know where everything starts and stops, because we kind of forgot where things were last year.
yes.
So then we do 2 zinnias, and then the whole rest of the row is the German butterball.
German butterball.
It's actually become one of the family's favorites for a potato.
Yeah, it seems to maintain really well. It stores pretty well. I mean, we're still eating some of these from last year's harvest, so that's pretty good, considering that we didn't get our root cellar type setup the way we wanted to be able to keep them cool. I think that we got a good harvest and we were able to use them. We were able to use some as seed too. So
well, and we learned a lot for canning them too for next year, for this year, that we're going to try some different things for preserving long term, because we've found that actually canned potatoes are coming in quite handy this time of year when you can't really get decent fresh ones.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we did. We canned potatoes, we canned green beans, we canned multiple different styles of tomatoes, primarily tomato sauce. And
tomato juice.
Yeah, as we got canned tomato juice. I'm gonna make some Bloody Mary mix. And we also canned, what else did we can that we canned venison. Joel got a deer, not this last fall, but the fall before. And we had some of that in the freezer still. And to free up some room in the freezer, we took that out and defrosted it. And we canned it. So, we didn't can any carrots, did we?
No, we only did frozen.
We froze carrots. So
I think we'll change that for this year, though.
Between what's on the canning shelf for venison, potatoes,
bone broth.
I made bone broth and canned that. Beef bone broth.
You pretty
and
much
then
got beef stew right
the
there.
frozen carrots, you can take it up and within however much time it takes to defrost those carrots and warm everything else through, you've got beef stew, venison stew. So that's pretty cool. And that's the point of it all. There's something super satisfying about sitting down and going, we know where all of this came from. We either grew it ourselves or sourced it ourselves. And that's quite a neat feeling. All right, so then this blank row in between tarps, we planted with dragon tongue bush beans. Dragon tongue bush beans are more of a waxy bean. They get to be kind of flat and they get purplish speckles on them. We found that no matter how big they got, they were stringless. So they were great for canning, great for eating. Didn't matter if they got a bit overgrown, they were still very tender and tasty.
Yeah, they actually got to the size of a broad bean, and they still were super tender with no string at all.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
And our reasoning here for putting potatoes and beans next to each other is the companion planting idea. We tried it last year, but we believe that we had the potatoes and the beans too far apart to really benefit each other. Supposedly the beans are supposed to help keep potato bugs away, and they help the nutrients that the beans put off into the soil are nutrients that potatoes use, and vice versa. Here's still a whole bunch of stuff we need to put into the dirt. Next weekend is Memorial Day weekend, so we will get to that. There's some herbs in there, some onions. A little frustrated with the whole onion situation. I brought some more packets. We might just do some direct seed and consider it an experimental year. This row in between is blank up until here. This first spot is Swiss chard, and then from there we have different kinds of beets, and then at the very end we have different kinds of radishes. We did some white icicle, did some of the red, just little red beets, or excuse me, red radishes, and some daikon. As of right now, this is the onion row. I mentioned in the last video that you can't really see them because the onions were about as thick as a strand of hair. I'm not seeing anything at all. So I think they're all gone or dead. Again, learning experience. We'll see what happens. Down here, we do have the set onions. These are the ones that you buy that are little onion bulbs, and they were put into the ground last year and are starting to sprout. So this year, we've also got morning glories. Might have to transplant those. And we got a dog who just wants to be in the video. Duke, are you a good boy? Yeah. So anyway, the reason my whole life, we've always planted set onions, and they've always done well, but they don't get to be much bigger than maybe a 50-cent piece, maybe a little bit bigger, golf ball size or slightly larger. And with an onion, the first year, their purpose is to grow a big bulb, and the second year, their purpose is to go to seed. So the set onions, when you purchase those, their purpose in life, because they're biennial, is to create more seed, not necessarily a big bulb, which is why I wanted to start from seed and see if I could get some bigger onions. So we'll keep you posted on that and how it goes. Over here we've got the cabbages, the brassicas. This is the brassica row. That is a megaton cabbage right there in the center of the screen, and then we move on to some other types of cabbages. I plugged in some marigolds in between. These all seem to be doing okay. Lots of transplant shock going on down here with the cauliflower and broccoli. Mentioned it in the last video that the pot or the starting soil that we used had little or no nutrients in it. We tried to make up for that once we discovered it by fertilizing, but they were still kind of spindly and not real great looking. This is Godzilla broccoli. That does not look too much like Godzilla. This looks like Godzilla. So anyway, we keep going down here. Cauliflower, broccoli. We'll see. We made a quick stop at the nursery in town today just to see what they had and how everything looked. In a pinch, we can go in there and get some broccoli and cauliflower and stick it in the ground. These are the peppers. You can see the leaves have maybe a little bit of yellowing, a little bit of sunburn going on. But I would say that these guys look pretty darn healthy. And again, they're 2 to 3 times as big as they were last year when we put them in the ground. I think what I'm going to try to do with garden videos this summer is pick some of what we've planted and tell you exactly what it is. This is an Anaheim chili. And then talk a little bit about why we decided to grow that. And then we can give you a review when all is said and done and let you know whether or not we're going to try them again. This is lemongrass. Doesn't look great. It disappeared on us completely last year. This is more lemongrass. Hoping that we can get some of that to grow. Would love to use it in our cooking. Down here, we have sun-bleached marker. I feel like I'm trying to read a pregnancy test. Is there pink? Can you see pink? There is something written there that I simply cannot read. So we'll have to let you know as those get a little bit bigger what exactly they are, because I don't recall. There's not much to see down here. We've got celery. For the most part, the celery made it. It looks, again, pretty spindly, but we will keep hope alive. Over here, we've got our melons, watermelons, cantaloupe, honeydew, all that fun stuff. And over here in our potato alley, that's what we're going to call this, potato alley, there are some poking through. And already we need to weed the grass out. I think we'll be probably on our butts out here taking care of some of that next weekend. Hopefully leaving some time for us to go fishing and do some other fun things. But there's another one right there. They're coming. They're coming along. So that's really all that we've got for this week. So we wish you a very happy weekend. And until next time, take care.